Okay, here we are again, MindWorks NLP. We're on chapter 18. The page number is 93. It's a shorty, but a goodie. Chapter 18, asking questions. The poet Gertrude Stein, who wrote "A rose is a rose is a rose," was on her deathbed. Gathering her last resources of strength, she raised herself on the pillow and asked, "What is the answer?" She fell back into a deep sleep. In the room, people waited as the minutes dragged slowly by. And then Gertrude Stein opened her eyes again, and her clear voice commanded, "Never mind that. What's the question?" These were her final words, so the story goes. Getting what you want isn't difficult as long as you're clear about what it is you're looking for. You have everything you need to get whatever you aim for. That's the presupposition. The only catch is knowing what you want to achieve and where, when, and with whom. Knowing what questions to ask helps you define your goal and make it realistic. It's the questions that lead to discovery. Answers are like markers along the way, showing how far you've come, indicating that you're still on the path. But it's the questions that define the direction you're going. The quest is in the questions, as the ancient Greeks knew. In Plato's Republic, the philosophers practiced the Socratic method for discovering truth and knowledge, which incidentally were considered to reside within a person, not without. The Socratic method, the way to get the truth, was by asking questions in order to draw out the knowledge that the person already possessed, but had no access to. Education means literally to lead out. The verb ducere, if I mispronounce these things, don't laugh, okay, means to lead. And the prefix e, which is the same as ex, means out of. The job of a Socrates or teacher was to make a person aware of what he already knew. I love that. The questions were intended to make the discipline turn inward to discover oneself. All of us have done this to some extent. We've questioned ourselves. We've relied on inner resources, on our ability and experience to pull us through, whether or not we were conscious of doing it. After all, we're still here. That in itself is proof we've survived. We've overcome the obstacles. We've managed to find a way. We did it by muddling through, by instinct, brilliance, by sheer luck, however. And here we are, having come a long way. But now what you want is something more than survival. You want success, the accomplishment of your goals. And now the questioning begins. What do I want? What should I look for it? Where should I look for it? How will I know when I have it? Unless you ask these questions, you'll never know if you've found the answers. How can you start a journey if you don't know where you're headed? How can you recognize what you've found if you haven't defined it? How will you know you've arrived unless you have a clear picture of where you meant to go? Part 3 is about defining what you're after and then making use of your resources to achieve it. You define your outcome in the same way as you describe something you've lost. If it's a piece of jewelry or if your pet has disappeared, how could you make sure someone else would recognize it? How would you describe it in the lost and found pages of your newspaper if you were filing the police report? Bill, would you mind reading until the end? Sorry, didn't mean to spring that on you.
You have read until, because I was in the German ones too.
Sure.
Filling a
You'll be very specific.
Yeah, that's this one.
Okay.
Oh, whatever this means. Antique gold ring, narrow band with 5 small diamonds set in a circle around a blood red ruby. Or 3-year-old calico cat with a bushy tail wearing a leather collar, answers to the name of allspice, left ear slightly erect, last seen Tuesday morning near Albert's grocery store on West Beach. You can characterize your lost property or lost cat with such fine exactitude that,
hard word.
yeah, that anyone who came across it would recognize it. You're able to do that because you can see it with precision in your mind's eye, a picture, a photograph, maybe an ongoing film while you describe it. You need the same clarity in defining your goal or outcome. If you can imagine it, if you can focus it on the inner screen of your thoughts as precisely as a picture of the gold ring or the calico cat, you're already on your way. Once you've formed an achievable outcome in your mind, you're 90% of the way there. Even a distant goal becomes reachable if you break it down into well-formed outcomes. Barely marked stretches along the winding road to Rainbow's End. Getting down the road isn't the hard part. It's knowing where and when, with whom and how you want to go. Let's go back to the first question. What do I want? It's the essential one. This short string of 4 monosyllables is at the core of who you are and what you're doing. It's the question that shapes the choices you make, the career you pursue, the mate you select, your decision to have children or not, to travel, to become a collector, to invest your energies into material concerns or spiritual ones. And it's also the question to ask when you're planning a dinner party, drawing up a contract, buying a car, or redecorating a room. It's the standard question you can ask anyone, anytime, about more or less anything. What do I want? Focuses the mind toward an outcome, defines the thing or action that you're moving toward. The shoe salesman asks the question to find out what kind of selection he should bring out from the storeroom. I want a pair of shoes to wear to my nephew's wedding, the woman replies. Now the salesman will ask about the outfit she plans to wear, how formal it is, what color and pattern, of what material. The questions became specific, each one helping to define the outcome, which is the pair of shoes to wear at the wedding. Each question leads to the elimination of a number or even class of possibilities, narrowing the field until it's pretty clear to both salesman and customer what the pair of shoes should look like. At this point, he brings out the selection, and the woman will try them on, choosing a pair or not, depending on how well the shoes match her expectations and whether or not they have a comfortable fit. Seek and ye shall find, ask and it shall be given. Questions are at the basis of knowledge, of information, and are what give humans in general and each of us specifically the capacity for changing and controlling our own environment.
Want to